What's up, everybody? Today we are going to be ranking the Arkansas football coaching candidates for this 2026 upcoming cycle. Um, Obviously, it's been a rough 10 years since the motorcycle accident in Petrino. We've had Bielema, Morris, disaster. Pittman was a disaster. So we need to get this hire right. We're just going to go through these candidates as I'm trying to, in my head, figure out who I want. Decided to make this video, do a little bit deeper dive into each person. Got a tier ranker here and everyone's photo that has been reported to be potentially up for the job. If you pull up the Bet Online futures right now, we've got James Franklin favorited to land the job, but not a heavy favorite, plus 400. So even the highest odds candidate is still 4-1 to land the gig. So no one really knows what direction this is going to go yet, and that makes sense. There's still 3 weeks plus of the college football regular season to go, and typically hires are not going to be made until the regular season is over. Top 3 guys on Bet Online would be Franklin, Silverfield, and Petrino. So we'll go through these guys and everyone else that's been rumored or for some reason has a connection to Arkansas, so they've been brought up. So I think these were randomized, not really sure what order they're in, so I'm just going to kind of go one by one through these. The categories, open to making some adjustments here on the categories. This is just what I thought of to be a good start. Top tier is home run hire. I don't think there's going to be a ton in that one. Exciting potential. So someone that if we hire to be like, okay, maybe not like our top choice, not the home run hire, but we can get on board. We'll get excited about the potential there. And then solid, just like it's a good hire, solid hire, not going to complain. Meh is kind of just like that underwhelming hire that's like, there's going to be some meh. I'll tell you that just looking at some of these photos. Disaster hire, definitely going to be some of those on here. That would be, Chad Morris, Pittman level disaster, and then just not happening. Things that I know have been thrown out there as names, but for whatever reason, whether it's their current situation at their job or just it's just not. I don't think it's happening. So, all right, we will start out here with Eric Morris of UNT. So, first thought about Eric Morris is I don't know a ton about him. I know that he's got UNT rolling this year. He's got UNT rolling in the American. They're playing well. Let's see, where are they at in the conference? I think they're close to the top of the American. Yeah. Okay. So they're 8-1, 4-1 in the AAC. They have a really good quarterback, Drew Metzenminger, who I believe is a sophomore. So I think one thing that could be good about hiring Morris, now you never want to look this short term, but he could potentially bring Metzenmaker over with him. And he is 6'4", freshman, super good. I mean, look at that touchdown interception ratio, 21-4, 2,700 yards, 25 QBR. He's been hooping this year. So if we were to hire him, I would definitely be looking at Metzenmaker as kind of a package deal with Morris. Now, in terms of him as a coach, it doesn't necessarily get me out of my seat, if I'm being honest with you. Okay. Let's find out about you, Mr. Morris. All right. So it looks like he played at Texas Tech, was a wide receiver, also went on to play for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Coaching career, looks like he was the OC at Washington State, I believe, and quarterback coach. I believe that was while Cam Ward was there. So a lot of people kind of credit him for developing Cam Ward. Incarnate Word, I think also Cam Ward was there. So maybe he was kind of a package deal with Cam Ward to come from Incarnate Word to Washington State. And then before that, he was at Texas Tech from 2014 to 2017. And I think Mahomes was there during that time. So I know he's kind of credited for helping develop Mahomes, helping develop Cam Ward. This is kind of his first FBS big time head coaching job. And he's done a really solid job. Really, especially this year, you see what he's doing with Drew Metzmaker, 8-1 record. Now, this doesn't necessarily blow me away, the 43-33 record, but yeah, it would kind of be taking a big chance on what's going on this year, because even in his first 2 years at UNT, you go 5-7, 6-7. It's not exactly a great turnaround. I know the AAC is a competitive conference, but you got to do better than that. And then you're taking losses in the first responder bowl. That's just embarrassing. So looking at all this, it seems pretty risky to me. I think the idea of, oh, he was there when Mahomes was there and he was there when Cam Ward was there, that could just very well just be there were other people on staff that helped those guys develop, or that was just kind of a coincidence that he happened to be there. I mean, Chad Morris, one of the big things we heard when he got hired from SMU was, oh, he was at Clemson with Deshaun Watson. It doesn't matter. Just because you're tied to a star player does not mean you're a good coach. So overall, pretty underwhelmed by Morris as a candidate. I think what you'd be buying into here is this year's 8-1 record, the potential of getting Drew Metzmaker to come over with him. But overall, I'm gonna go with meh. I don't even think that's a solid hire. I'd be pretty underwhelmed by that. If he brought Metzmaker with him, I'd be excited about that opportunity and that potential. But he's been doing this at the American level, not the SEC, which is just a totally different ballgame. So, all right, candidate number 2, Mike Gundy, recently fired from Oklahoma State. He was there for 100 million years. I don't think he ever even coached anywhere else, did he? He is just one of those guys. He is a diehard Cowboy. That's kind of a negative, I would say. Like, I want someone that is going to be, viewed as a hog. So, all right, he was at Oklahoma State from all the way from 2005 to 2025, 20 years, 170 record. None of this matters. His resume doesn't matter. He's obviously very accomplished. He did a lot in his time at Oklahoma State. He won the Big 12, went 12-6 in bowls. He's obviously a good coach. I just think he's past his time. You could tell the last few years he was getting sick of all the NIL and changing landscape of college football, and Oklahoma State was getting sick of him. And finally, they just decided to buy him out and get him out of there. So I have virtually no interest in Gundy. I'm kind of between disaster and just not happening, because I don't think he would want to come here anyways. Like, I just think he's pretty much done. I could see him going on TV or just going off to a farm somewhere to live out the rest of his days. I don't think he feels like he has to prove anything to anyone, and he doesn't. He had a really good run at Oklahoma State. Because I don't think it's realistic at all, I'm just going to put in the just not happening. All right, PJ Fleck. This one I feel like has been gaining steam a little bit for whatever reason. If you go to the Bet Online odds, he is now 4th behind those top 3 at plus 600. I've heard his name a little bit more recently just on Twitter and random message boards and rumors. PJ Fleck, I know he's kind of known for his whole like row the boat mantra, and he's been doing a pretty good job at Minnesota. I'm not going to act like he's not a good coach. He just kind of seems like a dork. I don't know if his whole shtick that he does up there would fit in the SEC. He's been there forever, so I didn't even realize he had been in Minnesota this long. So he started coaching there in 2017. That means this is his 9th year. He's got them into the AP poll a couple times, low, kind of the high teens, the lower 20s. He's made a bowl game each of the last 4 years, so that's pretty cool. Like, he's got them rolling, which is nice. Like, it seems like their floor is pretty high. You go 9 wins, 6 wins, 8 wins. So you're never pretty much, and they've already got 6 wins this year. You're really never not making a bowl under Fleck once he gets the program going. Now there were a couple. This was the COVID year. It doesn't really matter. Five wins his first year at Minnesota. So honestly, other than the COVID year and his first year, he's actually been very solid. You got 7 wins, 11 wins, 9, 6, 8, now 6. So definitely proven, I would say, at least in the Big Ten level. This would be kind of say somewhat similar to when we hired Bielema. Minnesota's not as big of a program as Wisconsin, but he's got that thing rolling. I don't know if he'd actually want to come here. I think the only reason he would is maybe if we just offered him a big raise, but Minnesota would probably match it. The thing that would excite me about Fleck would just be, one, again, high floor, and then 2, Drake Lindsey, his quarterback, is also, I believe, a redshirt freshman, and he is from Fayetteville, Arkansas. So I don't think it would take too much convincing to get Drake to come back to Fayetteville. He's 6'5", 230, freshman, so he's got multiple years of eligibility left. And I know that these numbers don't necessarily seem great, 10 touchdowns, 6 picks, but dude can really sling the ball. He's played well this year in the games I've watched him. I think Minnesota's in a tough spot because they compete against the teams that they're close to. But then when they face a team like Ohio State, you lose 42-3, Iowa 41-3, and in those games you see like disasters, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So I think that can sometimes make the stats look a lot worse than they actually are. The Cal game was pretty inexplicable, honestly. Cal's not that good. They go out there. I believe that game was on a Thursday or Friday night, so just kind of a weird timing. You go out there to the West Coast. Cal can be kind of a tricky place to play. So I don't necessarily fault them too much for that game, but other than that, you look at the schedule, they're just taking care of business. You knock off Michigan State, you knock off Nebraska, you beat Purdue, you're supposed to beat, you beat Rutgers, you're supposed to beat, and then you take care of your 2 bummy FCS opponents. So I think that's kind of what Fleck is, right? He's going to take care of business for the most part when he's supposed to, and then you're not really going to have a chance against these superior talented teams just because all your yelling and mantras and row the boat stuff is great until you run into 99 overalls. But yeah, I think the potential of Drake Lindsey and just the overall floor and stability that Fleck would bring leads me to believe that he is a solid hire. I'm not going to act like he's anything below that, but I'm also not going to pretend that I would be jumping out of my socks for PJ Fleck. So I'm going to put him in the solid category. We will kind of mix and match guys within the categories. I think the farther left is going to be the people we prefer within the tiers. So, all right, next up we've got, who the hell is this? Okay, this is the Indiana offensive coordinator, Mike Shanahan's son. I'm pretty sure. I don't really know much about him at all. The only reason I added him is because I saw him listed as a potential candidate. He has really not done anything in terms of head coach. He was at JMU as a wide receiver coach, JMU as an OC, and then I think that was with Signetti, and then he's been at Indiana for the last 2 years as the OC with Signetti. Looks like he played wide receiver at Pitt back in 2008. So this would pretty much just be a complete bet on a Signetti disciple, just trying to get a piece of Signetti. I'm attributing most of Signetti's success off the top of my head to Signetti. I don't think like we would get a mass exodus from the Indiana program in terms of offensive transfers if Shanahan were to leave and come over. So I don't think you can count on that there. We don't really have any reason to believe in terms of a track record of recruiting or portal, no head coach experience, no SEC experience. Really the best thing about him is his last name. I'm assuming he's related to like Kyle and Mike Shanahan, right? Yeah. So he's got the Hall of Fame DNA, and the whole McVay, Shanahan, that coaching tree is obviously very successful, more so at the NFL level. So I think another thing that holds me back here is I wonder if he would just be trying to use us as a stepping stone to get to the NFL. I like him as a potential like offensive coordinator hire, but head coach, there's just not enough track record there. I'm going to go with disaster just because someone that has only been an OC under a great coach for a couple years, you're just taking such a chance that they are a part of that success. And I think Signetti is really the one that's stirring the sauce there up in Hoosier Town. So all right, next one we've got Colin Klein. I think he is the current Texas A&M offensive coordinator. Offensive coordinator at Texas A&M. Obviously, he's got those guys rolling. They are 8-0, and Marcel Reed has really developed from last year to this year. You can see it, and he was with him both years. So if you want to give him credit for that, I think you can, at least a little bit. And then he was at Kansas State all from 2017 to 2023. He played at Kansas State back in 2008. I remember he was a really good dual threat quarterback. I think that's kind of his thing, is he wants to be like a quarterback developer. K-State, A&M. Yeah, I think this guy's definitely going to be getting a head coaching job at some point. I do worry a little bit that he would be vying for the Kansas State head coaching job whenever that opens, because he played there, he was OC and quarterback coach there, and now he's jumped to A&M doing great things there. So I imagine whenever that K-State job opens, he'll be one of the top candidates for that, whether he's still at A&M or has jumped to Arkansas or somewhere else. I think he's a good coach. I like his scheme. I like his quarterback development. We don't really have a reason to believe he's a great recruiter. We don't really have a reason to believe that there would be heavy investment in terms of financial NIL with him. Something I kind of forgot to say at the beginning is, with all these coaches, there could be different levels of financial support or people in the state that want them. For the purposes of this exercise, I'm really just going to focus on their coaching, like how I view them as a coach, because I can't even pretend to know what level of financial investment they would be garnering with them from people with money. So kind of just going to assume all these guys, I know this isn't true, but I'm kind of going to assume all these guys will have the same level of resources should they take the Arkansas job. So for Colin Klein, again, because I'd be a little worried about him jumping for K-State, and because he has absolutely zero track record as a head coach, I would be putting him in the meh category. I do think he is someone that is young enough and exciting enough that if we did go with him, I mean, I have to assume he crushed all his interviews and told the people what they want to hear. But unless Marcel Reed and a bunch of A&M guys are coming with him, I don't know how his first few years would go. Once he got a talented quarterback and had a chance to work with him, maybe I think that would be okay. But Bill Snyder disciple, I think he's got a bright future as a coach, but I think this is like 5 years too early to be having a conversation about him taking over a program like ours. So I'm going to go with the meh category for Colin Klein. All right, Mike Norvell, recently forced into retirement by the Seminoles. He is off in Cancun enjoying his buyout right now. Mike Norvell used to be at Memphis. Then he went to Florida State, where he had really one great year where they got snubbed out of the playoff. And ever since then, he's kind of been bad, especially last year and this year. Last year, complete disaster, 2-10. And this year they are 4-4 overall, 1-4 in the ACC, which for the ACC is really bad. Florida State has more talent than a lot of those programs they're losing to. They lost to Stanford. They lost to Virginia. So just not what you're looking for. Really, again, the things you're looking at in terms of positives would be Memphis. He was really good, 38-15. And then this 13-1 season with Florida State, that was the year with Jordan Travis. The only loss of the season was in the bowl game where half their team opted out. So they pretty much had an undefeated season, should have had a chance at the playoff, but they did not because of the injury to the quarterback. Norvell, I would not be remotely interested in as a coach. Everyone at Florida State wants him gone as soon as possible, and I would rather have a coach that people are vying for, not desperate to get rid of. If you can't win in the ACC, I don't think you're going to be able to win in the SEC, so I would be putting Norvell in the disaster category. Between him and Shanahan, geez, they're both disasters. I'd probably take Norvell just because he has been a head coach and had some level of success, and we just don't know anything about Shanahan. All right. Eli Drinkwitz, current head coach of the Missouri Tigers. I believe he has some ties to the state of Arkansas. I want to say his wife is from here, or oh shit. Let me go back here. God. How do I get my things back? All right, we're back. Sorry, technical difficulties. Accidentally deleted the whole thing, so had to recreate it. I think this is how we had it, or at least this is how I'm going to change it to. So we've got Fleck in the solid category. In the order, we'll go Klein, Morris. We'll go Klein, Morris, Shanahan, and Met, and then Norvell, disaster. Gundy is just not happening. All right, now we get to Eli Drinkwitz. Eli started out at Appalachian State, at least in terms of head coach. Okay, here it is. He was coaching. He was at Arkansas State as a coach. He went to Arkansas Tech. I want to say his family. He went to Alma, which is less than an hour from Fayetteville, and I think he grew up. He grew up an Arkansas fan. Had like Arkansas season tickets. You go from Arkansas State to Boise State, tight ends coach, Boise State OC, NC State OC. You get the App State head coaching job. You're only there 1 year. And I remember coming off that 2019 season, he was one of a few hot coaching names. That was the year we hired Pittman. That was the year Kiffin went to Ole Miss. Obviously, looking back, we would love to have that one back because he has crushed it at Missouri. Has really taken them to some solid heights in this new NIL era. He really embraces that. He's got a good personality. He knows how to market himself and market the program. He's kind of a dork, but it works for him. First 3 years, kind of meh, 5-5, 6-7, 6-7. But look at the last 3 years: 11 wins, 10 wins, and he's on his way to another 9-10 win season this year at Mizzou. Mizzou is not some sort of traditional football powerhouse. So to see him putting up back-to-back double-digit win seasons, maybe 3 in a row. I know he's young. I know he only had 1 year at App State, but to go to do 1 year at that level and to jump to the SEC and have the kind of success he's had, I mean, he's just a legit coach. He's one of the hottest names out there. I'm tempted to put him in not happening because I almost think it's so unrealistic that he would leave Missouri for Arkansas. I think if he leaves Missouri, it'll be for like one of these big time jobs, Florida, LSU, Penn State. I think every Arkansas fan can agree we're just not at that level. But because of the Arkansas ties, I think that opens up the door for what if he just wants to come home? What if he wants to rebuild his childhood program? Maybe he wanted the job back in 2019 when he gave it to him. This is kind of his chance to come back and save the program. I'm going to say he would be an absolute home run hire. Eli Drinkwitz, he's young. He's a good recruiter. He knows what he's doing. And yeah, we may not see another name on here that I would put over him. I think he is kind of the golden goose of this coaching carousel. All right. Current interim coach who took over for Pittman when he got fired, Bobby Petrino. We all know the story of Petrino. Was a head coach here from 2009 to 2013. Got let go right before the 2013 season due to the whole motorcycle. Kind of feel like a dick for using this photo, but here we are. He is 0-4 since taking over in the interim after that Notre Dame game. We've lost to Tennessee, A&M on the road. Or no, A&M was at home, Tennessee on the road, and then you came back home and you lost 2 more at home to Mississippi State and Auburn, who are not good teams. So there was definitely some thought early on that Petrino, he's a good play caller. He's got history here. If he can just get the boys to play hard and win a few games, let's just give him the job. He'll be cheap. It'll be easy. But I think it's become very evident watching over the last few weeks that he is not the answer in terms of a guy to take this program and lead us into the future. He's older. He's a little bit out of touch when it comes to the NIL stuff and how it's played. He really hasn't been a head coach at a major program in a while. After he got fired from Arkansas, I know he went back to Louisville. Coach Lamar Jackson had some success there, but he got let go from Louisville in 2018, and since then, since 2018, he has not been the head coach of a major college football program. He went to Missouri State, then went out to UNLV for a year, called plays for them, and then he was with Jimbo at A&M the year before Jimbo got let go. So to hand the keys over to someone that, I mean, you can see this coaching career. Everywhere he leaves, he's not anywhere long. Everywhere he leaves kind of is a disaster. He doesn't necessarily have any track record of long maintained success at a single program. He hasn't led a program of the magnitude of Arkansas since he left Louisville in 2018. So it's been 7 years. I know he says he wants the job. I know our department wanted him to win the job, but he's done the exact opposite. So I am going to say this would be a disaster. I think we would pretty much just be renting him for a few years, hoping that we can re-enter the coaching market in a better year. Obviously, we would have loved to have hired our coach last year. There's a ton of openings this year that we wouldn't have had to compete with last year, but I don't think slapping Bobby Petrino out there for a year or two is the answer. I would be extremely disappointed if our board of trustees went in that direction. So actually, this is one that as soon as the job came open, a lot of people started talking about Rhett. He's got a ton of Arkansas ties. I believe he played here. Am I making that up? Possibly. Yeah, no, he played here. He was a quarterback from 2002 to 2004, born in Springdale. I mean, this guy is Arkansas through and through. He coached at Springdale High. Then he was a GA at Arkansas, was an OC at Arkansas State. So he's definitely an Arkansas guy. Since then, he's kind of gone on. He called plays at Auburn, UConn, SMU, Miami, and then he has been the SMU head coach for the last 3 years. 4 years. So 7 wins, 11 wins, 11 wins, 6 wins. Last year took SMU to the college football playoff. Okay, the first 2 years they were still in the AAC. Now they're in the ACC. So a little bit of a step back this year from the college football playoff year. They're definitely not going to the playoff. They're still good though. They just beat Miami. So this guy's got a ton of Arkansas ties. I think that's why he was mostly brought up for the job. I know he's kind of made it known that he is not overly interested in the job. I think he just signed an extension with SMU. So he's kind of kicking the Arkansas can down the road per se. So I think if we were to make this hire, I would be putting it in at least exciting potential. I don't know if I can go home run just because he hasn't been a head coach at the SEC level. and that's something that I do value. So if I thought he was a viable candidate, I'd probably slot him here with the exciting potential. I think he's young. He's got Arkansas ties. If it worked, it would be awesome. And I don't know if he would ever leave. I just think he's someone that, we could continue to pay him as much as he's delivering, and he's got those Arkansas ties, which I do think are big. So Springdale is 15 minutes up the road from campus. But I am going to put this in the not happening category. He's pretty much put it out there that he is not interested in the job at this time. He wants to continue the awesome stuff they've got going on at SMU right now. Totally understandable. And at this rate, our job opens up every 4 years. So there will be plenty of chances for Mr. Rhett to get the head coaching job here. And again, right now, like, I almost agree with him. Like, I don't know if our program's even at a spot for someone like him to come in and take it to the next level. I almost feel like we need someone that's just going to come in and stabilize everything and rebuild it. So Rhett is, I'm going to say, not happening. Maybe someday, but not this year. All right, Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn, currently the offensive coordinator at Florida State. Used to be head coach at Auburn. Another guy with Arkansas ties, which is why he gets brought up. He played here. He coached at Shiloh, coached at Springdale, 2 local high schools, was the OC here in 06 with Houston Nutt before heading off to Tulsa and then eventually Auburn, and then even came back to the state and worked in Jonesboro, Arkansas State as the head coach in 2012 before going back to Auburn as head coach, then UCF for a few years. I think he actually coached KJ Jefferson, which is kind of funny. And then now he's calling plays for Mike Norvell this year, which is not going great. So I don't have a ton of interest in Malzahn. I don't know how much other Arkansas fans do. I know he won a national championship at Auburn with Cam Newton in 2010. That's kind of his calling card, his claim to fame. But as a head coach, he's just never. He had a decent run with Auburn, 7-year run, but he didn't really. I don't think he was overly successful there. I think a lot of people were trying to kind of push him out for the last 3 or 4 years. UCF, he was pretty meh. His offense is a little bit figured out at this point. He needs like an elite rushing quarterback for his offense to be effective. And again, if you're not able to call plays and win at Florida State against SEC teams, it's like, oof. He's older. I know he's been pretty outspoken even about not really wanting to be a head coach in this current environment of college football. So I don't think he would want to come here, and I don't really think we want him, to be honest. I just think he's 60 years old. He kind of wants a cushy play calling job. I don't think he wants to come here and put in the effort. It's going to take a lot of effort from a coach to come in here and do what we need to do to keep the program moving. So Bet Online actually has him as he's kind of tied for 5th at plus 1,000. So I don't know how unrealistic it is. I just don't see it. I'm gonna say this would actually be a disaster. Is that disrespectful? He's not like a terrible coach. Oh wait, I think I had him in disaster. All right, Shanahan, you're back to a disaster. Shanahan, I think, is like the most disastrous because I just don't know anything about him. Between Norvell, Petrino, and Malzahn, who would be the biggest disaster? I'll say Petrino's the least disaster. I'll give him he can call plays at least, and then I actually think Norvell is worse than Malzahn. Y'all hear me? All right, there we go. All right, Ryan Silverfield, God, that's hard to say. That'd be annoying. Looks like he is 15-22 as a head coach. Doesn't look like he even played. So he's kind of one of those guys that just started in coaching. Was with the Vikings, so he's done some NFL stuff. Toledo, ASU, Lions, Memphis, and then once he got to Memphis in 2016, he just kind of worked his way up. Started out at O-line. Then he was the run game coordinator, assistant head coach, and once Norvell took off for Florida State, he has been head coach ever since. So, looking at his head coaching record, it looks like he was the interim for the Cotton Bowl and lost in 2019. But 8-3, 6-6, 7-6, 10-3, 11-2, 8-1. So some solid progress there the last 3 years. Probably going to be double-digit wins every single year. They're not ranked, which I was a little surprised when those college football playoff rankings came out and they weren't ranked. Looks like he had them up to 23 in the coaches, 24 in the AP last year. They play in the American, which is a good G5 conference, maybe the best G5 conference, but the level of competition between any G5 and the SEC is just night and day. So there would be so much projection here. Norvell is kind of like, I know it's dumb to like, oh, Memphis coaches never work out when it never translates from the American to the SEC, but that would be a fear of mine, is that this stuff that works against, teams like UNT, Navy, USF, it just wouldn't work against Bama, Georgia, and A&M. So I like Silverfield. I think he's a good coach. I actually think they have a pretty decent shot at a playoff spot this year, which would actually potentially complicate the hire quite a bit, because I don't know if he'd want to leave his team in the middle of a playoff run. You would think so, if we hand him that big of a check, that he would just say good luck, or maybe we let him finish out playoff and then come here. But then there's so much to do in terms of rebuilding the program, recruiting, portal. I would actually kind of want someone to be willing to start more or less right as soon as the regular season is over. So because of that, I'm going to lower him a little bit. I do think, God, I'll put him in the category with Morris, who I kind of compare him to because they both coach in the American. But I think he's got a better track record of success. Morris only has that 1 year, and he's up to 3 good years now. And I will put him over Morris, but still in the meh category, a full tier below PJ Fleck. Why do I have Klein above Silverfield? I don't think that's right. Okay, I'm going to put Klein at the end of the meh because he has no head coaching experience. All right, Dabo Swinney, current Clemson head coach, 2-time national champion. Y'all know the story. He started out as a GA there and just has grinded his ass off, worked his way up to where he is now, and he's been at Clemson. I think he's like the 3rd longest tenured coach in college now. Dabo Swinney. He's obviously come under fire the last couple of years because he refuses to use the portal pretty much, and it's shown in their record. This year he's having like his worst year ever. He's 3-5 last year. I mean, everyone acts like the wheels are falling off Clemson. The last 3 years, 10 wins, 9 wins, 11 wins. And they went to the playoff last year, and I'm pretty sure they won the ACC championship. So it's really not as bad as the media kind of portrays it to be. And I actually think he's not going anywhere. Like Clemson, they know they can't do any better. This guy is taking them to the promised land and back. Have they had a couple of down years in terms of like the new Clemson standard? Sure. But I remember back in like the early 2010s, Clemsoning was a thing where they would just lose every time they played a good team. He brought them to heights where, I mean, literally won 2 national titles, went to 2 more national title games. It hasn't been the same level of success recently, but you're still winning double-digit games every year. You cannot take that for granted. This is going to be the first year in a while that they don't win 9+ games. So I really don't think he's going anywhere. I think it's kind of all talk, just people being ungrateful. So I'm going to say this is just not happening. All right. Jeff Traylor, coach of UTSA. This guy wants the job. This guy wants the job more than anyone because he won't shut up about it. Every time he's in a press conference, he starts talking about how he's a candidate at all these jobs and people are looking at him and talking to him. So I guess he was the running back coach and assistant head coach here in 2018, 2019. That must have been Morris. So to be honest, that makes me actually want him even less if he was here when Morris was here, even if he was good. That just grosses me out. And then we've got UTSA 7-5, 12-2, 11-3. And then this also concerns me. You get there first year, you go 7-5, okay, and then boom, 12-2, 11-3. Since then, you've won less games every year, 9-4, 7-6. This year, you're 500. You're going to the Myrtle Beach Bowl. If you can't take UTSA farther than the Myrtle Beach Bowl, where are you going to take an SEC program? That concerns me. I think this guy's kind of a clown. I think he would get embarrassed. I think he just wants a big contract so he can fail, get a buyout, and go play golf, live out the rest of his days on a golf course. So I'm going to put him in the disaster category. I'll still slide him above Shanahan, but pretty nestled safely there below Petrino, Malzahn, and Norvell. All right. Who's this guy? Texas State. Is this Kenny? This is Kenny. I don't really know anything about him. I saw him on a ton of lists. I think he's actually, he's there tied with Summerall, Malzahn, Traylor, and BK at plus 1,000 for fifth highest odds to be our coach. I don't get it. I don't know anything about him. It looks like he was an offensive assistant here and again in 2018. So another Morris disciple. Went to the Eagles, then Hawaii, UCF, Incarnate Word again with Cam Ward. So he must have coached with whoever the hell we were talking about earlier. And then he's been at Texas State since 2023. What's he been doing at Texas State? 8-5, 8-5, 3-5. Yeah, I mean, what? Why is this guy even being brought up? He's 3-5 at Texas State. No thanks. I am going to put him in the disaster category. Yeah, I think I'll kind of just keep going there. I'll put him above Traylor because at least I don't think this guy's a complete clown like Traylor. But going to be behind these three old vets that have at least proven something. All right, who is this? John Summerall from Tulane. Now, this guy, a lot of people think he's heading to Auburn. If I go back to the odds, he is plus 150 to be Auburn's next head coach. Only ahead of Durkin, who I think is currently their interim coach. So a lot of people at Auburn want Summerall. I think he might be a candidate at some quote unquote bigger jobs in Arkansas. As far as I know, no ties to Arkansas, which fine, whatever, don't care. And he rebuilt Troy, won double-digit games his 2 years there, and then he has Tulane rolling 9-5 last year, 6-2 this year. They're a good team. Again, this is what worries me with him is just lack of track record at big schools. He was at Kentucky, was a DC, so he's a defensive guy because everywhere he's gone, he's been defense. Looks like he was actually at Tulane. They brought him back, but played at Kentucky. I wonder if he'd be a candidate at Kentucky. I wonder if he would even go there. But he's been to Kentucky multiple times, playing GA, coaching, and then the last 2 years at Troy and Tulane. A lot of people hold him in really high regard. I'm not saying he's not a good coach. I'm just like, what has he proven at the Power 4 level? Nothing. He's been in the Sun Belt and the American. Tulane was already a good team before he got there, so he's really just kept that rolling. And then Troy, I don't know much about Troy, but I'm just going to assume the Sun Belt's not that hard to win in. So I'm going to put Summerall It's weird. It's like the only reason I think he's a good hire is because everyone says he's a good hire. Looking at his resume and track record and just what I know about him, I'm not like overly impressed. I'm going to kind of throw him in the same category as these other American guys. All these AAC coaches, I'm going to kind of throw in the same category. Would I take him? I'm not going to take him over Silverfield or Morris because I think Silverfield has a longer track record of success at the school he's currently at, and I think the thing that really intrigues me about Morris, I know this might be stupid, but I just love Metzemaker. That dude's a baller, and if we could get him to transfer over, I think he would be a good quarterback for us. So I kind of view them as a tie, and the tiebreaker is Metzemaker to Morris. They're all meh hires, to be fair, so I'm not like ringing the bell for any of these guys. All right, Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen has made it very clear how he feels about the Arkansas job, coming out and tweeting that he has no interest and that we should hire Gus Malzahn. Well, we're not going to hire Gus because he's in my disaster category, Dan. So sorry about that. All right. Dan Mullen, the one thing he does have that some of these other coaches don't have, he has a long history of success. All right. Dan Mullen was Mississippi State for 8 years, Florida for 4. He was at Mississippi State during the Dak Prescott glory years, had them all the way up to number 1 in the rankings. And he actually, I feel like his Florida time is underrated. He won 10 games and 11 games in his first 2 years there. I know the recruiting fell off a wagon and he went 8-4, 5-6 his last 2 years, but Florida, the expectations at Florida are just too high. I don't think he was doing a horrible job there by any means. And then he's got UNLV at 6-2. So the guy wins wherever he goes. I mean, to put up 8, 6, 9, 10, 7, 8, 7, 9 win seasons at Mississippi State, we've seen kind of where they've fallen to since. I don't think anyone thinks of Mississippi State as like a big time program. So he definitely has the cachet. The question with Mullen for me is how motivated is he? I know he went to TV for a while. I don't know how much he really wants to coach. How long was he out of coaching? Yeah, I mean, he got fired from Florida in 21 and didn't pick up a clipboard again for 4 years. So I think you definitely need to question his motivation. How much does he want to coach? He's only 53, so he's relatively young. He's got some good years left in him. He knows how to coach offense. Defense is kind of a question mark. If he had a good DC, I'd feel okay about it. I'm not necessarily. I know his tweet. I'm not necessarily going to say he's not happening because he could just be tweeting for leverage or screwing around. UNLV is definitely not the end all be all for him. Maybe he gets a better job. I don't think so. I don't think LSU, Penn State, Florida are going to take a chance on Mullen. Maybe. I mean, Florida's definitely not, but they ain't bringing him back. If we were to hire him, that means he would want the job. So I think he's gonna go in the solid category for me. I think between him and Fleck, I think I would actually prefer Mullen because he's got the SEC track record. I mean, he was in this conference for over a decade and was winning. Now, what would his level of success look like in this new look SEC with NIL, Texas OU being added to the mix? I don't know, but I would give him a better chance than Fleck to show it off. All right. Next up, Will Stein, Oregon offensive coordinator. Dan Lanning disciple. Don't think he's ever been a head coach. No, he hasn't. Wow, his resume is short. So he played QB at Louisville back in 2008. Then he immediately transitioned to coaching, stayed at Louisville, GA, quarterback coach. Was the quarterback coach at Texas from 2015 to 2017. I'm trying to remember who their quarterbacks would have been, like Ellinger maybe, or was that even pre-Ellinger? And then he went to Lake Travis High School, which I think is in Austin. That is a big time high school. So he was there. He wasn't even the head coach at the high school. He was an assistant head coach. So this guy has literally never been a head coach, passing game coordinator, offensive coordinator, UTSA, and then now he's been at Oregon for the last 3 years with Dan Lanning. I mean, I think he's a good coach just based off. I mean, Dan Lanning does not hire you and entrust you with his offense if you don't know what you're doing. And he led Bo Nix to a great season, broke the record for completion percentage. He's done a great job with Dante Moore. This one, this would be a pretty big. This would be taking a big swing. He's got literally zero head coaching experience at any level of football. I think he's a better offensive coordinator prospect than he is a head coach. I would be putting him in the meh category. I kind of view him and Klein the same, both OCs, never been head coaches. I think I prefer Klein just based off what I've seen in terms of the growth and development of Marcel Reed. So I'll keep Klein above Stein for now. All right, Brian Kelly, Notre Dame, went down to LSU, got fired. Definitely a good coach. Like I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Brian Kelly is not a good coach. He was like the winningest head coach in Notre Dame history, or one of them. Took them to the playoff, or he took them to the national championship. Notre Dame, or he was at LSU for 3 years. I mean, look, this guy's resume is insane. Grand Valley State, Central Michigan, Cincinnati. He's worked his way up. Was at Notre Dame for a decade. Went and lost to Bama in the national championship in 2012. That was just a tough team. They had like Eddie Lacy or Derrick Henry or someone. And then LSU for 4 years, and even LSU 10 wins, 9 wins. That's what you get fired for at LSU, is winning 9 and 10 games. So they were just sick of him. I don't think they thought he was a good fit culturally. I mean, hell, if you want to come to Arkansas and win 9 and 10 games, we'll take that. I don't think he. I mean, I don't know this, but just vibes wise, I don't think he wants to come to Arkansas. I think he's going to want to go back to kind of that Big Ten, Ohio, Michigan area and kind of go back there. A lot of people have maybe said maybe he even goes back to Cincinnati, or maybe takes like Michigan State. I could see that. I mean, definitely a really good coach. Brian Kelly would be a good hire. I think he is definitely slowing down a little bit. How old is he? He's 64, so he's getting up there in age. The guy he looks like he's going to have a stroke on the sideline every time I watch their team play. He gets very angry, very, very animated. He's not afraid to let you know what's on his mind in the post game. So it'd be a very entertaining hire. I definitely think he's a good coach. And then, BetOnline thinks it's relatively realistic. 5th in odds. I don't know how excited I would be, but again, like that's just like a very solid hire. In terms of where he ranks with Mullen and Fleck, I would have to put him above those two, because he did it at more. Like Mississippi State is impressive, and that's actually probably more comparable to where we are in our program. But BK or Dan Mullen. I'm actually going to put Mullen over Brian Kelly. Am I? Those two are like a tie for me. I'll give Mullen the nod. Whatever. That's kind of a toss-up. I think they're both definitely over Fleck, though. All right, here we go. James Franklin. This is one we've been waiting for. I really don't know why Penn State fired this guy, to be honest. You fired someone because they can't win a national championship when your program was in the dumps before he got there. He's rebuilt 2 Power 4 programs, Vandy and Penn State. He was great at both. I didn't really. He was only at Vandy for 3 years, but back-to-back 9-win seasons at Vandy, and that wasn't even in the NIL era where you can just pay for a good team. Vandy had no talent, and he was reeling off 9-win seasons, 3 bowl games in a row. Penn State brings him in, takes the chance on him, and he completely rebuilds that program. 13 wins, 10 wins, 11 wins, 11 wins, 11 wins. I mean, just reeling off great season after great season. Yes, the big game James stuff, there's some truth to it. He can't win the big one. He can't win the national championship. But again, this is Arkansas we're talking about. We're not doing that stuff anyways. So if he can come in and do what he did here at Vandy, if you told any Arkansas fan that our next hire would go 6 wins, 9 wins, 9 wins with 2 bowl wins, they're taking that 9.5 times out of 10, or they're an idiot. I would probably just take it 10 times out of 10, because that's what we want. We just want a good team to be excited about, to be proud of, not in danger of missing a bowl, maybe pushing for a playoff spot in November and then get eliminated, but just be in that conversation. So I think Franklin is right up there with Drink in terms of being a home run hire. More realistic because he's just, I mean, literally, he is unemployed right now. I know there's been a lot of smoke about Virginia Tech when it comes to Franklin. I don't care. We're a better job than them. So if he has brain cells, he will come to Arkansas. I'm going to put him over Drinkwitz, not necessarily because I think he's a better coach, but I just think he's our guy. Like, he is available. He's perfect for what we need. We need a rebuilder. We need someone to come in and stabilize this program. And he is like the 101 of who every Hog fan should want right now is James freaking Franklin. Make him say no. If he says no, sure, we'll start going to some of these other clowns, but he's the one that you make say no. And then our last candidate, Alex Golesh, I'm not really sure how you say it. Current head coach at South Florida. The guy's Russian, I think, which is interesting. I don't know how you get into. Yeah, he was born in Russia. I guess he went to Ohio State, so at some point he immigrated over, I guess, or maybe he was a foreign exchange student and just got hooked on football. I don't know. Okay, it looks like he went to high school in Ohio. So moved to the U.S. shortly after being born in Russia, and I think the highlights of his resume are his time at Tennessee and South Florida. So Tennessee, he was the offensive coordinator when their offense was really humming, 21-22. That was Hendon Hooker was there, and they had a really good team. That was the year they upset Bama and tore down the goalpost. And then South Florida, he's been doing a good job, 7 wins, and he's already got 6 wins this year, probably on their way to a 9-3-ish type season. I actually kind of look at what they've been doing this year, because there have been some, I don't know about red flags, but you come out gangbusters and you beat up on Boise and you upset Florida in the swamp. This was kind of the game everyone knew, like, all right, Napier's out of here. But there was a lot of momentum. They might have even been ranked. Were they? I don't know. Heading into this Miami game, they got absolutely destroyed. So that's a tiny red flag of, like, if you're undermanned, you're not even going to have a chance. I think the spread in this game was like 13, so it wasn't supposed to be this big of a blowout, and yet it was. Obviously, a tough spot on the road against a really good Miami team, but again, you would like to have seen them be a little bit more competitive. And this game was a big-time game. 2 teams at the top of the American against another one of the coaches we talked about earlier, Eric Morris, on Friday night, and they just crushed them on the road by 30. So this was a good sign. You put up 63. Look at these 63, 63, 34, 54, 48. This guy puts up points. His offense is really fun, so I think at the very least, I don't know how good he would be, but I think at the very least he would have a fun offense. And then you lose on the road to Memphis. I mean, hell, Arkansas did that too. So I can't act like this is like an embarrassing result, but I would have liked to see him win that game in terms of helping his case for candidacy here. They finished up the year UTSA, Navy, UAB, Rice. I think you have to go 3-1 minimum here. And you would love to see them go beat Navy and push for the American title. If he does that, You've got 3 successful years. You've got those 2 years you were at Tennessee. I do think he's a good candidate. I'm going to put him in he's going to be the only coaching candidate in this entire thing that gets exciting potential. And I just think the reason is the offense. He spreads you out. He uses every inch of grass on the field, and it's fun. So as an Arkansas fan, that's what we kind of miss is just, I mean, I guess the offense hasn't been okay this year. Taylor Green's been putting up some points and yards. So maybe, I just don't know what he's going to bring defensively, but I don't know. He's Russian. He's got the shades. He just looks cool. Something about Golesh just kind of speaks to me. I think he's got some exciting potential. What separates him from these other American guys, Silverfield, Morris, and Summerall, is I just think he's got that SEC experience, whereas these other guys have kind of just been coming up in G5 the entire time. So those 2 years at Tennessee plus what he's done at USF kind of give me hope that he could be like the next Drinkwitz. Like he could be the guy that goes and takes over an SEC program, and in a few years, he's like a top 5 coach in the conference. So this is where we landed. Home run hires, we've got Franklin and Drink at the top. Golesh and exciting potential. So only 3 in the top 2 tiers. That shows you where we're at. Dear God. And then in solid, we've got Mullen, Kelly, and Fleck. 3 guys that I think have proven themselves, have been around the block, would do a good job here stabilizing, but I don't think anyone's getting overly excited about any of these 3. This one might be my most controversial tier. We've got Silverfield, Morris, and Summerall in the meh tier, and I feel like a lot of people would be more excited about them, especially Summerall. But when I look at their resumes, I'm not buying it. I'm not seeing it. I don't really see anything that overly excites me about them, and they don't have the proven track record for me to like believe in the floor. So I pair them with Klein and Stein, the 2 OCs at really good programs, because I think these guys would be worth taking a shot on. Would still be mad, but like I could see the vision. And then the disaster hires, Petrino, no thanks. Malzahn sucks. Norvell, Jesus. And then Kenny, Trailer, and Shanahan. These guys shouldn't even really be on this list, to be honest with you. And then Gundy, Lashley, and Dabo, just no chance. So this is our Arkansas tier list. Thank y'all for listening. Feel free to drop a comment and let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with. Should be a fun coaching search. We've got at least probably another month before this thing's wrapped up. Maybe some more names will pop up here and there as the carousel goes. I really think Franklin is the guy. We have to get him. And then if we strike out there, we make a run at Drink. If he goes to Penn State or stays at Mizzou, then we start turning to Golesh. I think that's the way to go. I really don't want to have to dip into these tiers down here. I would love to get one of these 3 guys for the sake of my mental health and sanity in the fall. So, all right, those are the tiers. Thank you guys for listening. Let me know if you liked the video. Woo pig.